Kirby's Dream Buffet is a new battle royale hybrid that's divided up into two main parts. Cute minigames and races to see who can claim the most strawberries, and a no mercy super slam designed to challenge fate and break spirits. The main course is the final minigame of Kirby's Dream Buffet, and it's probably the most important one to master if you want your Kirby to reach danger levels of adorable. The game is won by knocking off your opponents while collecting strawberries and dodging attacks. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing my best tips and strategies that will help you raise your scores to new levels. Or wait. To start, let's first take a look at the copy food abilities that you'll be using to knock your opponents out. The wheel is a very common ability that you'll end up with a lot. It's good at chasing down enemies, or you can activate it in their face for a quick surprise knockout. You're invincible while the wheel is active, so you can use the ability to avoid most attacks as well. And it's possible to pull multiple wheels which you can chain together to stack up knockouts. The burning pepper is pretty similar to the donut wheel. You can activate this in someone's face for a surprise KO, or chase opponents down and go for multiple knockouts. The high jump is mostly used in racing, but it is possible to bring one into the main course. If you ever do find yourself in battle with one of these, you want to isolate yourself to charge it up by holding R. Or if you mash it out, you'll land where you started for a quicker attack. The drill is pretty rare, and it's always nice to get because of its versatility. By pressing R, you'll tunnel underground, where you can't be hit by enemies. After a short time, you'll return to the surface with a quick attack. One cool thing you can do with the drill is create a closed loop around your opponents for additional attacks. The tornado is a common ability that sucks up nearby items and brings them to you. It also gives you invincibility when active, just like the wheel does. When using this, make sure to mash R to make the attack area larger. As an attack, the tornado will stun enemies and knock them back a bit. Use it wisely with your opponent near an edge to score some easy KOs. Up next, we have my personal favorite ability for stacking up knockouts, and that is the needle. I like to use this ability while jumping into a crowd of people, or I'll use it defensively to get out of a jam. Use it near an item box and you'll be surprised at how many players run into you. They just can't help themselves. Activate the attack by pressing R. From here you have a few options. You're able to jump around in this form for a few seconds until eventually the attack will end. Or press R again to do a launching attack that will send opponents into the Shadow Realm. This attack can be aimed in any direction, plus it can be charged by holding R instead. Be careful where you aim though, because you can go off the stage with this. The stone is a pretty common ability, best used as a counterattack thanks to its invincibility on startup. It can be used quickly by pressing R, or you can hold it to charge up a bigger shockwave. Be careful though, because opponents can dodge the attack with a well-placed jump, or by using another ability to tank through it with the invincibility. Once they do that, you'll be open for a free knockout, which is not good. Wait until nearby opponents use their abilities first to avoid and punish their attacks with your own. It's also a good idea to charge up the attack away from the action and send a surprise shockwave across the stage. Just watch out for the tongs. The jelly is a pure defensive ability useful for avoiding attacks and safely picking up items and strawberries in the process. You can also sometimes bait your opponents into wasting their best abilities. Still, I think the jelly is more effective in the race minigame, so I like to activate it as soon as possible to try for another item. The final ability is the Invincible Candy. If you're familiar with Mario games, this is basically your star. You'll score knockouts by simply touching your opponents, and you'll even get this fun camera splat when you do it. It even hits people out of their abilities, which normally have invincibility, making it the best item to get. It lasts for a set amount of time, but just like every other item, it will end early if you start hovering off the stage. Which brings us to some general tips and strats for outlasting your opponents. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you don't get KO'd. You lose so much from getting knocked out, while your opponents will gain it all. So let's focus on surviving. One way to do this is to hover. Hovering is one of the few defensive strategies you can use to survive attacks from things like wheels or tornadoes. It's a strat that works best when you're small, as it's harder to do when you get larger. When you're too big to fly, focus on using platforms or jumping across gaps in the stage to avoid attacks. In general, you want to be patrolling an area that isn't popping off with abilities. Collect strawberries from the basket hovering above and wait for an ability to spawn nearby. If you try running around too much without a plan, you're sure to get KO'd by some random ability. Of course, it helps if you start the main course with an ability and get free KOs every time. So for my final tip, I'm going to recommend that you check out this video on scoring more points during the races. You'll learn how to set yourself up for victory with abilities, how to secure bonus berries, and more tips for getting those scores and Kirby's as large as possible. Hopefully that's up soon. You can leave a like and subscribe in the meantime for more videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.